on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
It's a beautiful morning. Welcome to Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Ekpo Temple, and it's that time of the day where we'll take you through the happenings in sports. And so on the show this morning, 5 seats are set for the Nigerian Cricket Federation tourney. Rafael Nadal confirms appearance at the ongoing Barcelona Open, and in football, Palmer scores as Chelsea thumped Everton yesterday. Details of this and many more will be yours when we come back from the short time. Please don't go anywhere. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch. People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their mind.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
nobody's ambition is what
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
That short break, if you're just joining us, this is Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. Ekpo Temple is my name, and I have a guest here in the studio as usual. Emmanuel Michaels joins us this Tuesday morning. Welcome to the show, Emma.
Good morning, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
I also have Holafemi Moni who joins us this morning too, to be part of the conversation here on ATN Sports Talk. Moni, you're welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me around. I'm so glad to be here. Good morning to our viewers and listeners. Yeah.
Amoni is a sports, young sports journalist doing so well for himself. And we have a lot to talk about this morning. And guys, let's get started here. And a lot is happening. I mean, we are counting down to the Olympic Games. It looks like the fever is not as glued, as it will be in the next maybe 2-3 months. By the time we get to June, we'll start talking about the Olympics proper. By then, the distraction of the leagues will have ended. Basketball season, a lot of sporting activities will have ended. But this morning, we hear that that there will be this the usual sacred flame for the Paris Olympic. Will be lit today in Olympia, the birthplace of the ancient, games, and of course a lot to talk about. Let me start with you, Michael. The sacred flame of the Paris Olympic Games. Your take on that particular one?
For me, I think it's just the normal rituals that has to do with the Olympic, because this is the birthplace of the Olympic, and of course you expect them to also continue in that sacrifice out there to ensure that at least they keep the memory of where the Olympic game actually started. They ensure that they keep it alive, and of course there will be turning around 4 different major cities out there, so that the people out there could also get to feel the FIFA, of what the Olympic game is all about. The Olympic Games actually has been there for a quite long time, and the generation of this day might possibly not understand the tradition and the history behind the Olympic game, how it came to be, how it originated, and things that comes with it. But then I think this light up sacrament is also going to also endear the heart of many people who doesn't know the history of where the Olympic game actually originated. So for me, I think it's an exciting one because many people get to know about it, many people get to feel the FIFA, what it's all about, all of that. So for me, it's going to be nothing different but just a traditional rituals of where the Olympic game actually started from before. Then they would now take it down to the whole city, talking about Paris, France there.
Of course, on April 18, the flame will travel to the tiny island of Castellorizo, near Turkey, and then traverse the island of Crete. On 25th of this month, the flame would move southward to the city of Patras and Corinth before returning to the Great Athens area for its final day on Greek soil. It will be handed over to Paris organizers in the ceremony at the all-marble Panathenaic Stadium, site for the first modern Olympic Games of 1896 on April 26. So the movement of the Olympic torch is on from one country to the other, and all the countries that will be participating, in this year's Olympic Games, they will have a feel of the torch, and that's lovely. But still talking about the Olympic Games, there seems to be a threat of security, and the organizers have come out to say that the opening ceremony of this year's Olympic Game, which was originally scheduled to take place as a unique 6-kilometer parade down the Seine River, may be rescheduled. According to Emmanuel Macron, the president, he said that there are growing concerns of insecurity ahead of this particular one. This implies that the Olympic opening ceremony and the Paralympic, which were supposed to bring millions of tourists to France, will no longer be in that open environment, but it will now be in Stade de France. Stade de France is an environment that is the biggest stadium, so that it can easily be handled. Omoni, let me get your take on this particular one. First, on the torch, and then the fact that there is security concerns, bridging the beauty of what the organizers have planned for the opening ceremony.
Okay, thank you very much. So once again, thank you for having me out in the studio this morning. You look at it, Olympics is something that I say that every sports person wants to be a partaker of it. It brings memories. It brings what sports stands for: unity and wealth, and every other positive thing comes with it. And I'm so glad that at least it's coming to pass. Unfortunately, the security thing is something that is actually affecting the of how it should be. Because you look at the way Olympics have been, the way it has been fashioned in time past. The opening ceremony used to be something that you can't afford to miss, even if a sightseer, if you are just going there to just watch a viewer or anything, fan, you just want to experience that moment. But right now, insecurity is something that everyone is conscious about, and you see the way the president is admonishing everybody, every tourist, or even anyone that will be participating to tread cautiously. And that takes me to the way by which we've been having problems with insecurity, and how we've not been able to channel effectively or efficiently the solution to this matter. if you look at it, the Champions League last week against Real Madrid at Bernabeu, you see it got to a stage that they said they're going to cover the stadium because of this insecurity threat and every other thing. So it's something that insecurity becomes very, very large or aggravated in this country. It's going to, in the world, sorry, it's going to affect how the game of sports is. Sport is not something that you must give limits. It's something that you have to express all your tentacles. But right now, France is trying to curb or to tread cautiously in that threat. So I think it's really very good right now. Even at one point, I was thinking maybe they're going to postpone the Olympics, but they put a lot of things. And now, in terms of the resources, France might not be making enough money they've actually envisaged, or the amount they're expecting to make. Because right now, many people will be having thoughts about traveling down to Paris for the game.
Okay, let's keep our finger crossed on that one. But security concern and alert are being raised there from the organizers of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games and Paralympic Games as to the area. Michael, just so you can also add.
Yep.
Now, what is the implication of this? Will it in any way downplay the beauty of the organization of the forthcoming Olympic Games?
Definitely it will. You know, the authority, talking about the local organizing committee that is planning this very one, they have a different idea of trying to, you know, create a different niche of what it used to be the conventional norm of or carrying out, you know, the opening ceremony in a secluded place, maybe in a stadium where people turn out in their mass to also sit and watch some of the, you know, aesthetic, you know, beauty and the display of their cultural heritage and all of that. But then they had a different plan altogether for this year's Olympic. They wanted to host it outside the stadium in an open place where at least many people will get to feel what it is for the Olympic opening ceremony to be, you know, conducted outside of the normal tradition where they usually, you know, do that in an enclosed place, talking about the stadium. But then, courtesy of this security threat, it has also punctuated that idea. So they want to be very, very cautious about the way they go about it, because security first, you know, it is when you are alive before you can, you know, be able to experience what an opening ceremony of Olympic Games, you know, hold. So I think that is the reason why they have actually, you know, have a change of plan. Of course, for me, it's very, very cogent and acceptable reason that they've actually, you know, deemed it necessary to have a change of mind, because the life of the people actually matters a lot. Because just this week, we heard about the security threat of the ICs and its ally, even in the UEFA Champions League games. You know, they have targeted certain stadium, the Wanda Metropolitano, the Emirates, the Parc des Princes, that is the PSG home, and some of the key places where the, you know, Champions League semi-final plays will be played. And the UEFA as well took that measure of security conscious as well, you know, to be able to beef up their security architecture in order to stop this, you know, the ICs and its ally from such a heinous and reprehensible act of terror and terrorism. I think for me, Emmanuel Macron is right on point by making sure that, you know, they try to put it in a place where the security men and women that will be on ground, you know, will have a total grip of the security network that is at stake. By so doing, then I think the life of the participants and the, you know, or the viewers as well will be very much secured. I think for me it's a nice idea, but then a lot need to be done as well, because we know, you know, the crafty plans of this, you know, terror organization, talking about the ICs and its ally. They can also devise any means very dangerous, you know, to also, you know, clamp down on innocent people. But then I think the president of the France is actually very much on point by making sure he takes some of this precautionary measure in order to stem that tide, to avoid that story that touches, you know, where people get to lose their life, the loved ones and all of that. So for me, I think with this security threat, it has actually thwarted the beauty, the planned beauty of, you know, having the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic game, you know, outside the stadium. But then we can't ask for more. But I just think it's a nice idea that they are taking this security measure in order to, stand as a barricade against this ISIS and its, allies, not to cause terror and havoc out there, because the life of the people actually matters a lot.
The life of the people actually matters a lot, and of course we hear that 10,500, athletes will be on showcase during the opening ceremony. And when you have 10,500 athletes, initially was able to have more numbers of spectators in the stadium, but that has been trimmed down now to 3,000, earlier this year because of security concerns, and this certainly not very cheering. And that implies that that 3,000 now are just within the no foreigners. Foreigners are not barred from being part of this particular one. All right, let's see how it all goes, and I can tell you for sure that massive preparation ahead of that one will bring you more concern as plans unravels in preparation for this year's majestic, magnificent, and extraordinary Olympic Games as planned by the organizers there in France. Away from that, now let's talk some tennis news, and of course, we'll start the Barcelona Open, where a lot has gone down. It's 2 days into the games. We have seen qualifiers. We've seen some who are new entrants and some who are white card entrants also, are blowing hot and cold. Some have hosted out already, some are still participating. But then, one big man is set to be back, and his name is Rafael Nadal. He's one man who has one of the highest winners of the Barcelona Open. The man they call the King of Clay is set to make a return after a long spell injury. And let him start with Omuni. Rafael Nadal is thinking of returning back in preparation for the Roland Garros. That's the French Open coming up soon. But then, are you sure he's coming back fit, or he just want to make the news and all that? Do you think he's a strong contender?
Actually, no one who's right now. But we want to test the water, because don't forget that he's just returning after a health injury, and I was so surprised. I felt right now what matters most right now for him. And he said that he's fit. So who are we to actually disagree his claim or his subjection about the judgment about his body right now. So I think that it's until when he gets to the court and participates in any game, that's where we can actually ascertain if is the same Nadal that used to break bars, that used to break barriers 10, 15 years ago. And now that 7-year-old that looks very low, and I won't be surprised when to be sent packing in a first game, actually.
Okay, but then let me come back to Michael here in the studio. Rafael Nadal is one of the highest winners of this particular one. Do you see that as reigniting him? As 37, I mean, the last time he played was in January, and he was hosted out. Do you see him changing the narrative?
Honestly speaking, I don't see him changing any narrative here. I think age is also playing a very major role in his attempt to come back very strong. After that long injury that he got, he has actually struggled to be able to rediscover his mojo, rediscover his form, and the flashes that we know of him. So for me, I think it's going to be a very difficult one for him to be able to reinvent that prowess that we know of him in the past, because again, they will have other great players, other young lad coming through the ranks, the likes of Carlos Alcaraz, though he's out in this very one because of the arm injury that he got. But we still have Danny Medvedev, Yannick Sinner, Tsitsipas, to mention but a few. And these are young great lads that are ready to also, make their name and also stake a claim at the Barcelona Open. So for me, I just think it's because of the passion that this man has for the game. That is what is still keeping him, very, very active. If not by now, I thought he should have been able to, call it a quit, possibly throwing the towel and, not to rubbish, that rich history that he has created for himself in the world of long tennis. So for me, I do not see him making any strong statement in this very one, because injury, like I said, have actually blighted his performance so far since he came back from that long injury. And he's never the same. He's never the same player that we truly know of him. I mean, this is a name that almost looks like a household name when you talk about long tennis, but since he went for injury and came back, tried to rediscover his form, nothing to write home about. I think for me, like I said earlier, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to reinvent that fine form that we used to know of him. Courtesy of the fact that we also have other competitors that are ready to give him a run for his money. So for me, I am not actually considering him as a favorite for this, Barcelona Open.
Has been considered as one of the favorites for this year's Barcelona Open. But guys, away from tennis now, let's talk football. I'll start with happenings in the Nigeria Premier Football League. So let's go to the NPFL match day today, and of course we have a lot to really talk about there, and it's getting hot by the day. When you look at happenings in the Nigeria Premier Football League, it tells how far things can go. And if you look at the games of today, you begin to wonder how we can navigate this particular one. Eyimba is at it all. The clash with their counterpart there is one that is really, really cheering. We have big fixtures today. Match the 30, of course, will live up to his expectation across many centers. Enugu Rangers will take on Abia Warriors. But before we get to all that, Finidi George of Eyimba has said that his players will approach the Oriental Derby with all seriousness that is attached to this particular one. When he speaks like this, sometimes I just I put myself together and ask myself, is the battle for the league, qualification to play in the continent, which one is more paramount now for him? Omoni, I will start with you. You follow the NPFL so much, and I know that. A look at the season, the way the season have gone. What do you make of how things have revolved? I know you have your own team, but let's look at the teams that the way the NPFL has shaped up so far in this season. How interesting has it been? Or lessons we have learned that has improved the league as compared to other times?
Okay, thank you very much. First I'll say that the improvement has come with one or two clubs being intentional. We've seen Nigerian clubs that is intentional in developing their brand. Let's start with branding. I think we've seen a couple of clubs. We've seen clubs flying around with sponsorship on their feather, and we've also seen that the officiating has changed. Although it's not the best one we have right now, but it's better than what we used to have. And the league generally, also league, we've seen sponsors. It's been a very long time we've seen having multiple sponsors in the Nigerian league, and I must that's a big one. And I think that's the result of the criticism that people have actually put the league on that. Because one thing I'll say that criticism help you to develop better. I don't see it as a way to demoralize. I see it as a way to be a better person of yourself when you are being admonished, when you are criticized, to do the right thing and all this. And we've seen clubs that momentum. Example, you see clubs like Rangers engaging in branding. You see clubs like Yimpa getting multiple sponsors. You see clubs Bremotas, you see clubs like Sporting Lagos. Unfortunately, clubs like Atland FC, they didn't learn from their past mistake that sent them to the NNL. They are still in that same tussle. And unfortunately for them, it's only God that can take Atland FC away from the relegation water right now. I don't see them as a club who will be taking in the MPFL. look. I think by now, maybe after the game today with Enyimba, they should be getting form from NNF because I don't see them winning that game in Aba against Enyimba because Enyimba did that match very well. So also the league has, I think the MPL for, although we don't really have that much media like the Western world, but I think the MPL is more competitive than what you have in that league or the Serie A or probably maybe in the La Liga, because right now you have potential clubs like 2 to 3 clubs might be winning the league. You don't prospective winner. You don't know who is who. Stars when they play Shooting Stars today, you don't know if they lose that game and Rangers defeat Abia Warriors. They top the table with 3 points. And when you look at Rangers, if they come to Ibadan and pick a point, that means that they are already standing tall. And you see a team like Shooting Stars, they might actually go moving close, edging close to continental tickets. And you see clubs like Rivers United, you see Plateau United there. So it's really a very big one. Compared to at one point it was Doma United people were looking at. But they started, they fell short, and a club like Rangers International, all of a sudden with 10 strikes like 10 games, they came to the top of the table. So it's something like really a pattern thing, and the league has been so fascinating. It's not a kind of a fast league. So fascinating that you don't know any surprises can come up. You look at going on the road, defeating almighty pillars at home. You see pillars scoring 5 goals. See Plateau scoring goals multiple times. And you see players scoring hat-trick. You see players scoring and everyone that. So it's something that we've seen that the violence aspect of the league has been reduced minimally. We still have, I think it's still a very good one.
Now,
it's work in progress. The league has really improved.
Let me just stick with you. Of course, like you said, your narration exposes the viewer to the fact that truly there's been massive improvement in key sectors or key areas of the league as enumerated. But then, in 2 sentences, will you say that the league is better when you look at what has happened this season, or from what you have said, is better as compared to the average seasons we've had so far?
Obviously. I think it's very obvious, and I think it's clear. Even someone that is blind will know the league is better, because that's where you see. That's where you test strength. That's where you test ability, capacity. That would be like Man United might be playing in the Super 6 right now. But right now they're tired and they're resurging. They're just and you see a club like Rangers International might not even get close to it because they got themselves back in the second stanza. So the football league is, I think, that's the beauty of any football league. And that's why I used to tell people that when it's competitions like the World Cup, I prefer the World Cup sport. But I said, when you touch a player because it plays games, and you said, okay, player, and you look at play 38 games, and was consistent in week out, a lot of positions and a lot of puzzles in some public moments, in some not so moments. This person was able to stand tall at the end of the day. And you just said, okay, because someone plays his games and the person is the best. I said no. Me, I don't know. I think that if I use that's disparaging of person has used of what the league has actually been. So football league something that you see a lot of surprises, you see a lot of movement. But the team that stands tall or that actually won, you know that this team is not fluke. It's not a fluke. It's something that they really work their ass. They work knows that position. So it's not something that a team just I need just got there and afterwards just beat them like Sunshine and the Super Seed.
Money, you are based in Kwara State, right? And your team Kwara United. I don't know now. Let me know. So I will to direct.
I'm in Lagos.
We're in Lagos now.
I'm in Lagos.
Because for Sporting Lagos will be playing at home to Sunshine Stars. We're going to see Kwara United play against Gombe United. So for them, anybody can beat Gombe as stands now. But before I come to you, let me get back to the guy in the studio, Mike. And Mike, take a look at what happened this season. Like he said, you think that we're going to see any more surprises? Rivers United look like the team that had done so well in recent time, representing us back to back in the CAF continental competitions. But then they have outstanding matches. We have strong contenders like Rangers FC. We have Lobby Stars. We have Enugu Rangers. We have Remo Stars. Do you see Rivers United today playing against a certain Plateau United? We get back to the elite club. We are big things we're contending for the ticket for to win this season as well as to be in CAF games next season.
Yeah, for Rivers United, I think for this season so far they've actually been a shadow of themselves, because this is not the traditional Rivers United that we know. Rivers United is such a big brand when you talk about the NPFL, and you expect them to be doing better compared to what they did this season, where they've actually struggled both continentally and in the league game as well. And of course, coming back from that disappointing outing in the continental game against the Algerian side, where they were actually hosted out of the CAF Confederation Cup, I think it comes with a whole lot of disaffection and mental breakdown from the side of the players. But then I think over the week they were able to win a game for themselves out there, and that is going to even further spur up the players to also brace up to the challenges ahead. They have about 5 to 6 outstanding games in the NPFL, courtesy of the fact that when they were taking part in the continental games, some of these games falls within the week that they are about to go for continental duties, and as a result some of these games were postponed. But 5 or 6 games outstanding for Rivers United doesn't actually mean 3 points in the bag for them. They need to work their fingers to the bone on the pitch of play if they truly want to finish the season very strong. And for me, that is very, very key for Rivers United this season. They are not fighting for the title because they are out of it. They will just fight to be able to stay afloat or finish in a very respectable position in the league, looking at what they've actually achieved for themselves in the past. So for me, I think this is what Rivers United should be thinking of, how to get 3 points gradually from these outstanding games to see if they can be able to finish very strong in a very respectable place in the position for the in the league this season, and then possibly they can build up from there. But they still have, for me, a challenge and a clog in their wheel of progress, because immediately that disappointing out in the continental game, we heard that their coach had been indefinitely suspended, and one begin to wonder what is the brain behind his suspension. We don't know. Before now, they were sick.
No, we heard that he was sick. That Saneguma went on maternity. What did I say? Maternity. A sick leave.
Yeah.
So he's back now. So let's go from there.
He's back now. But after the continental game away to the Algerian side, when they lost and came back, we heard that he has been suspended indefinitely. We are not talking about the medical leave that he went for before now.
Okay.
So that is going to affect Enyimba, fully where their first gaffer is not there. So that is a big distraction. But then we are still digging deep to understand the brain behind his indefinite suspension so far as it stands right now. But then I think for me, like I said before, for the disappointing out in their continental game, this will still have a mental to bounce back and take the bull by the horn. By picking up this 3 points in this remaining game is still a very big question for them to answer, but then they need to answer that question on the pitch of play. I can't sit here right now and tell you that Rivers United is going to take all 3 points, because looking at their game so far this season, they've actually been very disappointing, even both home and away, and they concede goal like never before. This is unlike Rivers United. They seem to, be struggling defensively so far this season, and for me, you can't be so frail in your defense line and you expect to finish very strong. But then, like I said, I think if they only have the mental capability, then they can maneuver this one and finish very strong in the league.
Maneuver this one and finish very strong in the league. And that takes me back to, the question I asked you earlier, Omoni. Sporting Lagos, one of the teams who came into the season. Let's look at the teams that were promoted. Sporting Lagos were promoted. I think Heartland was promoted, as well as a certain, not Doma United. We also have another Tornadoes, and it looks like another Tornadoes might just be one of the teams that might stay back. Sporting Lagos also is not over yet, but then you look at like you said, Sporting Lagos. Since you're in Lagos, and what are the reaction of fans as to how they played so far this season?
For me, I think the fans are excited because looking at how they came to the season to challenge. And if you look at it, Lagos fans, it's been a while. They call the club since MFN supported MFN left league. So they probably missed, or let's say they are testing of top football, top tier football. And the moment they came on board, joined, they were so excited that they, seeing that the club coming down to Lagos to play against the Lagos. However, things are not really so rosy for them after they were able to do one or two these in the first aside from that, things are not very rosy. They've been dropped tomorrow, and the rest. So, but right now against Sunshine Stars, is against an actor who is languishing at the moment. They are actually languishing, and if you look at it, they changed coach, yes, but things have not really changed for them the moment without for Sunshine Stars. But play can afford to be, like I say, because today's game actually be the genesis of how they're going to escape relegation. So if they lose today's game, that means obviously you just open the chapter to revelation. They should open the book to revelation. That will reveal to them that relegation is quite clear for them. But it's today's game against Sunshine Stars, Kennedy Boboye's side, also not really in a very good moment, good position right now. I think it's going to be games that both teams will fight. But the fans, look at the base, just like you are, the fan base is quite good. It's one of the clubs that are able to take on the fans, just like Doma United, which are Sporting Lagos. They understand the environment, they are able to play into their psychology, and I think it has been a good moment. In terms, if it's win profit, fan profit, I think Sporting Lagos contending with club Doma and Ramos, and probably maybe should start. Games that are chat, trophy, that screen, and engagement, both online and
well, let's see how it goes. But certainly, games such as Bender Insurance will take on the Pillars. Aqua United, our host, Niger Toledo. These are some of the games, so I'll get to see, recent time. And Aqua United to do everything to pick a point today. I picked maximum point at home.
Definitely, Aqua United, they've actually not been a good side this season, but then it looks as though at this tail end they are trying to fight back to see if they can be able to, beat the drop zone, thereby finishing very strong. But then, unfortunately, their former coach who, had played 3 games, and won 2 out of those 3 games and drawn 1, he was surprisingly relieved of his appointment, and Baba Ganaru was drafted in order to remedy the situation for Aqua United. And his first game, he actually lost his first game. Talking about Baba Ganaru, let's hope that his second game is also going to do something better compared to what he did in first outing with Aqua United. But then I tell you, since Aqua United, return back to their traditional ground, talking about the Gospel of Aquabio International Stadium, I think they've actually improved a lot compared to what we saw when they were playing at the Eke Township Stadium. So let's keep our fingers crossed, hoping that Baba Ganaru is going to turn the tide around for Aqua United to also see if they can get all 3 points, because they truly need the 3 points in order for them to at least complement their stand on the league out there, because they are hovering within the relegation zone as it stands right now, and it's not good for a club such as Aqua United, who won the league a few years ago, about 3 years ago. So for me, I think it will be very disappointing that if they get to lose again today. But I strongly have this belief that Baba Ganaru want to also do better in his second game.
Baba Ganaru, time is not our friend. Let's run now to Europe as we take on talk about event. But before I talk about the English League, we saw yesterday, I'm sure you, if not for anything, you've been following the Bundesliga in recent time. Let me get a general overview. Leverkusen are now the new champions of the Bundesliga after 120 years of waiting to get their hands on that coveted trophy. Okay, but then, Michael, I'm sure we've talked about this over and over again, and we cannot leave the fact that Alonso and the guys will still be suffering at the moment, even if they've not lifted a trophy, but it's more than lifting trophy, on Sunday.
Yeah, of course, you saw the beauty, you saw the glamour, you saw the excitement and the ecstasy from their fans out there. Immediately the final whistle out there, you saw how they actually encroached into the pitch of play to actually lift some of their players and celebrate with them. Of course, since 1904, when the club was formed, they've never laid their hand on the Bundesliga title. And for me, it's such a historic moment for them after 120 years in the club history, to be able to lift the league. And not very, very magical fashion. Nobody expected them. Having played 29 games so far in the Bundesliga, 125 drawn 4 rather. They have scored about 76 goals, considered just 19 goals. It tells you of how prolific and how defensively solid and rugged that a certain Xavi Alonso tutor side is so far. I think for me it has been a tale of joy, a tale of history. Alonso and the guys out there, I think for me they truly deserve whatever accolades that they are receiving right now, because they've actually worked for it to get to where they are today. But luckily, you want to also dig deep into the coaching career of Xavi Alonso since he came over to Bayern Leverkusen. Just 2022, he came there where Bayern Leverkusen was battling for relegation. They were seated 17th on the log in 2022 when he took over, but he was able to help them to make them stay afloat of the Bundesliga. Then in 2023, he actually continued on that stride by making sure he picked up European ticket. This is 2024. He has won the league without any defeat so far. He has actually played for the 3 games in the whole of Europe, and they remain the only top club in the whole of Europe, top 5 leagues, to have not lost any game so far. For the 3 games played so far, no loss. Such a feat, it truly deserves to be celebrated. And of course, the city of Leverkusen and their council, they are already planning of how to name a street or an avenue for Xavi Alonso, that this is Xavi Alonso Street. And of course, you know what that means. It's over 120 years in club history, they have not won such, and they are in for the treble, and because they are still in for the BFV Vocal and even the Europa. So it's going to be a very historic moment for Bayern Leverkusen. I want to say a big congratulations to our own Victor Boniface and Nathaniel as well.
We continue to eulogize the effort of Xavi Alonso and the guys. What a show of resilience, aptitude, and of course, stout doggedness that we have seen from that side. And trust me, it's to go down the line of history. Their names will be etched in the stadium for what they've achieved. It's more than what Spartacus did in the arena, certainly. But let's talk about, we do not have time anymore. But Guy Omoni, are you still there with us?
Yes.
I mean, even if I have to end with this one, your take on what transpired, the Bundesliga, Leverkusen new champions of the Bundesliga.
This kind of policy made, let's say last year, no one, many people will laugh at it. We just laughed. We laugh like, oh, this is just happen because of Bayern Munich level trials in that league, and you see Bayern Leverkusen not even in this big, nothing from Champions League, turning things around, snippet, and that's where you get to know that there's nothing to make a change is not actually true. Because getting the right seed to make the change. That's one thing that makes or that looks very difficult. The moment people Guardiola got what he needed, he won the Champions League for Man City. But this guy the champion, he shows that he learned well from his manager. Don't forget, one point was Benitez, he was under Carlo Ancelotti. He learned well. He knows the right tools, the right head that fits the hole. When Boniface, when Boniface the call, I remember last was with Boniface last week, and we were discussing, and he said that Boniface just called because people early anticipating, we think Boniface will move to and just he called it as a coach becoming. Xabi Alonso called me. I think I'm responding to the call, and I think later we got news that Boniface and for Bayer Leverkusen. And it was as if that was the story, that was the change story Ghana joined there with a lot of experience from Arsenal. And that was what just changed that thing. And I think coincidentally, I just found Boniface's tweet saying that he would give up, showing his picture when he was going through as a 13-year-old there. So Xabi Alonso deserve all the updates for getting to. There were not really big players that were ambitious, focused, they're ready to pay sacrifices to the top of the table. And I think that's one thing that big club Manchester United. Me, I tell people that it's not only the problem, but the problem of air power, young talent. Let's go with what because something people don't pay money is going to come to players like Pachi and the rest. So I think one thing that for me the take home from for that club that you see players give all it takes. They don't really give players heroes like the way Brighton tells them. They're just focused and they take the bull by it.
Many thanks to you, Omoni, for being part of the conversation here this morning. Again, within the week, maybe on Thursday, now we're going to review all the games played today in the Nigeria Premier Football League and maybe possibly the UEFA Champions League games because tonight, when we come back this evening, we'll look at the UEFA Champions League and the indices. We're going to demarcate the wheat from the tares, so definitely a lot to play out today, tomorrow. Mike, many thanks to you for being part of the conversation today.
Always a pleasure doing this with you.
For my man Omoni, I get to see you again on Thursday.